We've known about the threshold in the sky for centuries. We wanted to see what the birds saw. The eagle is our symbol. First, we went where the eagle went and found thresholds beyond the eagle. We went faster and higher. We took our incredible new speed close to the ground. The threshold, the ultimate edge. No matter where we find it, that's where we must go. We all know the peculiar fascination of the threshold. Tell us to avoid it, and we ignore the warnings. That's the way it is. The edge of the cliff is where we will go. If we don't accept the challenge, we may never know what we can do. A threshold always asks the question, can you do this?
I think everyone gets considerably worked up prior to an air show. It's similar to any type of performance, except that we're performing before anywhere between 4 and 6 million people a year. And at one time, you can have anywhere from, I suppose, 20 to 30,000 people, upwards to 1 million.
We'll team up to start the power plant systems of our aircraft. The noise level may become too high. You hear exactly.
I personally am able to put out of my mind the fact that this crowd is down there and they are observing when I am in the aircraft. As soon as the engines are started, the business begins. Just like a stage show or a rehearsal. You have rehearsed it and done it so many times that you're able to withdraw yourself from this emotional involvement and enter it as a professional.
The main reason that you strive so hard to put on a good show, not only a good show, but the best show that you've ever put on. Each time that you appear is the whole essence of the Blue Angel tradition, and that you have had very, very fine teams go before you, and you'll have fine teams come after you, and it's the tradition of the whole thing that calls for putting on your absolute top performance each time you go out.
Concentration is the whole secret to the air show. You must concentrate 100% and, if possible, 110% of the time. You have to continuously talk to yourself, continuously force yourself not to become complacent, to work as hard as you possibly can, and to accept nothing but perfection. I have the position where I have all the other airplanes in sight at all times, and the scary thing is when you see somebody starting to move, or if it's in turbulent air, you see somebody bouncing around a little bit. And when you look up at the wingtips and you could say, well, if he moves much more, he might bump airplanes.
We have a saying that we've never flown a perfect air show. We probably never will. So there's always something in an air show that you're not too happy with. But what I look for is the fact that you've got to always know where the ground is. You've always got to work within your own capabilities. Never try to work outside of them. If the first time you do, you're going to bust it.
Personally, when I'm strapping in the airplane, the thing I start thinking about is getting myself mentally prepared for my dirty roll, which is the first solo maneuver that I do. It's probably the one that's most difficult. You're trying to do that maneuver low, but not too low.
If you've trained right and you know what you're doing, you shouldn't really scare yourself that often. You shouldn't scare yourself every air show. It's maybe 1 in 5.
Chariots of the gods. It's easy to think of these big metal beasts that way, and the men in them tend to lose touch with the rest of us. But they're still men, and not all that different. What they've done is to find a new way to test our limits. They cross a threshold and return to tell about it.
On the runway now, the Blue Angel diamond in fingertip formation. Commander Hall calling the pilots to 100% power as each pilot carefully checking the engine instruments one final time prior to their brake release. The pilots now, satisfied that their aircraft are ready to go, acknowledge to Commander Hall with a thumbs up, and he in turn calling for afterburners on now.
Burners on now. Burners off. Stand by for the brakes. Brakes. You up, Steve? Yeah, okay.
Meanwhile, ladies and gentlemen, back to our right, Blue Angel number 5. Watch carefully. Upon becoming airborne with the landing gear and flaps extended, Steve will roll that aircraft 360 degrees while airborne.
You're on your back looking down at that runway thinking there's no way I'm going to make it. And then you pull out and you say, boy, I'm not going to do that again. And sure enough, the next day went right out and did it again.
Once again, in a very precise transition. Watch carefully as Skip retracts the landing gear and flaps, accelerates his aircraft at 280 miles per hour, performing the very, very graceful Immelman on takeoff. Up through the vertical now, relaxing the pressure on the stick and floating his aircraft over the top, literally hanging in his straps as he rolls that aircraft 180 degrees.
When we come off a high-performance climb, we come out of afterburner and we put the speed brakes out. The formation seems to set itself, and I kind of slouch down into my old familiar body position in the cockpit, and I set myself, and now the air show is on.
At only an altitude of 100 feet over the ground, a pass on the flight line to give you a real close look at the complete wing overlap and the 36-inch wingtip to canopy separation which exists in the Blue Angel Diamond. That same formation which we will see accelerating to more than 500 miles per hour.
Gotcha, Steve. Over at 67. Easing the power. One on. Yeah, suck it to him, gang. $250. You have to look outside again. 300. Be right on the outside edge, Ernie. Okay, 350. Hurry on my right, yep. Okay, careful beyond the taxiway, Ski. Piece of cake, boss. All right, easing the power at 400. Take it out, boss. Bring it down, bring it down.
Yeah, I could hear all three of the other aircraft. We were no more than about 10 feet wingtip to wingtip on the boss, and I could see Jim and Kevin as they crossed. They weren't more than 10 to 15 feet above me.
Pull it, Jeff. Pull it, Dave. Smoke off, throttle off. Coming right, very nice.
Coming off the flight line as you're breaking back towards the rendezvous, you're saying to yourself, well, that was good. That was damn good.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Attaboy, attaboy.
And if you have a good cross off the opener, why then it's electric between the cockpits. Everybody realizes that they've got a good one going. And you kind of get the feeling in your mind, well, I've only got 23 more maneuvers to do. You know, don't blow it now. I gotta get her going.
Okay, take it down just a little bit. Little bar, little bar. Little jug. Let's hit it.
More than 500 miles per hour as they streak for that single point of crossing just on the flight line before us.
Normally on a, let's say a knife edge pass, we'll cross within one wingspan of one another, one plane width, which is 20 to 30 feet apart. But occasionally, if the visibility is exceptionally good, we have one another in sight quite a long ways out. Especially on a knife edge, we may cross within 2, 3, 4 feet of one another.
Oh, good collision effect. You just missed a good collision effect then.
For every maneuver, there's a cutoff point where you can finish the maneuver safely, where you go beyond that point and it's questionable whether you can finish the maneuver, and you go beyond that, and especially, let's say, in the case of a loop, whether you know it or not, you can't finish the maneuver.
Okay, how much you got, Jeff? I'm float. Keep that coming in, Kevin. Looks good, started in, Jeff. Easing the power. Let's bring it in, guys. Let's drive it right in. Hustle, Jeff. Add it, boss. Add it. Good, now bring it on in. Bring it in. Looks good. Right on in. Okay, boss, take it out of the weeds.
If you watch an air show that is done correctly, it looks like it's something that is so easy that anyone can do it. This is one of the things that we find with the new people coming aboard. They cannot fly smoothly 2 to 4 feet from another aircraft. They don't realize that that is total and utter concentration, blocking out all else. That little world that they live in is a little spot on that aircraft that's about 3 inches wide, and they must remain in that spot at all costs.
Is such a point that you're working so hard that you can't really think about the flying. You're just sitting there looking at a wingtip, hanging on for dear life, and saying, "Okay, I've got to do this right," and look out, the wing's coming down, or Jim or Kevin are getting a little bit out of position, to call them up back into position, start thinking about the next maneuver, talking to the boss about whether the air is too rough, we ought to ease it out a little bit, or the terrain, whether we're flying too low at the bottom of maneuvers. You don't think about the flying. That's just something that's happening. You're thinking about how to move that stick around, and that's just about it.
Then you have the two solos, which is a completely different type of a show in that we attempt to show the high-performance characteristics of the aircraft that we're flying.
And there he is on the flight line. Watch carefully. Landing gear and flaps extended at an airspeed of only 250 miles per hour. Steve will now pull back in the stick and drive that aircraft, Blue Angel number 5, straight up into the vertical.
How's it look, Jim? Steve's vertical. Okay, you shouldn't have any problem then. just got down to 49 from the top of that son of a... Are you still alive? Yeah, but I was scared.
The average individual who has never observed aviation can go to an air show and become completely involved in what they are seeing to the point that they are emotionally affected to tears. You get that lump in your throat and your palms get sweaty and it's just something that comes upon the crowd and it's very difficult to define.
Make no mistake about the precision. In the violent buffeting of 600-mile-an-hour slipstreams and uncertain currents of the upper air, each man performs as part of a single expression. If one moves, all move. If the move is wrong, that mistake shoots through the entire formation. When it is precisely correct, it is a contest of beauty. That's the most important contest. Between pilot and the art of flying itself.
360. 350. 360 coming left, back to back.
I think the most uncomfortable maneuver we do is the back-to-back pass where I'm upside down and number 6 is on my wing right side up. And then we slow down, we put the gear down. Relatively slow speed, low altitude, inverted is a rather unusual flight attitude. Most people aren't used to being into it, and that is slightly uncomfortable just because it's unusual, I think.
Something happens out here at the edge of human-machine capability. When we reach this edge in any way, it's always artistry. That may well be the ultimate definition of artistry. The definition may exist only in this total and utter concentration, the small universe where perfection lives. We all recognize this place. Each time we reach it, we learn something new about what it means to be human. Don't mistake the nature of the risk of this experience. At more than 500 miles per hour, we're moving 800 feet per second. The two solo planes roaring toward each other are closing at 1,600 feet per second. If each of them is off by only 1 second, they can displace their crossing point by 4 city blocks. The flicker of an eyelid can mean the difference between beauty and tragedy.
Oh, dear Lord, here we go again. 2, 3, 4.
It's just beautiful to know that all this work that has been put into a performance, you have one heck of a lot of accomplishment to see your aircraft up there performing like it does.
It's very, very gratifying, and I'm sure that if you talk to each and every one of the maintenance people, that they feel the same way.
It's a hell of a responsibility, really. You have a man's life in your hands.
Hi, Jim. Steve. Coming left for the Delta Loop. Trees don't bother you down there, do they, Jim?
He will drive us down until Ernie says, no lower, boss. And at that time, he will say, don't go low.
Damn it. What's wrong? You scared me. You like putting me in the weeds, don't you, boss? We go. Rolling out at 300, stand by for the gear. Gear. Okay, let's start easing the power. Coming left for the echelon, landing easing the power. Jeff down a lock. Chip down lock. And Ernie's down a lock. And the wind ought to be coming just a little bit of left to right. It should help us out here. Okay, start taking up some positions. Want to go to a beam, Ernie? At it, boss. Right on in, right on into a beam. Gotta come into you, just a little bit.
Okay.
And just a little far now. Shoot. Sticks back. And you're after the position, Kev. Same damn thing on my shoot that time. We're good, we're good. Don't turn it in yet, boss. The stars haven't yet stopped yet. Even home, boss. Five to go, looks good. Yeah, betcha. Little bit of brakes here. And you're a little close to the boss, Kevin. Okay, Dave, I'm sorry. Okay, no problem.
Going home. This has been the last show for this team, this unique being which never existed before and will never exist again. Steve and Ernie are leaving the team. Their 2 years are up. If they wished to stay, they could not. 2 novice Blue Angels named Switzer and Beardsley will move into the vacancies. But that means it will be another team. Going home, the old team is dying. But a new team is on the way.
I'm gonna miss it. You don't think about it when you're in the air. You're still thinking so hard about flying the damn flight that you don't think about last flight until you've touched down and you're slowing down. You say, "It's all over, babes. It's all over."
I won't miss some things, but I'll miss most things. I won't miss living out of a suitcase for 280 days out of the year as much as I miss the teamwork. Couldn't ask for better flying.
Never again will I fly on the knife edge, the threshold of absolute control of myself and my universe.
This is the crucible where all of that perfection begins. This is winter training, a new beginning. Winter training is where the fledglings hit the fan and high-flying thoughts come down to earth. It's a rude awakening. First, every time up there at that raw edge of ability and endurance, every time is a new time, a first time. Here's where you learn that this challenge will never change. From here on out, you'll be living on that magic edge, right up against the limits, where if you dare look beyond, you're staring directly into the unknown. Second, you learn what concentration really means. And third, you learn that all thresholds are really inside yourself.
Coming over the left wing. Ease the barn, I'll be thinking about your tuck under. I was looking at it almost head on, and there was an unbelievable mismatch in the wings. Yeah, you were slow on the top. Yeah. That last one was very unloaded there, Burner, but you're going to get those, and you got to fly them. Really, you almost had a 45-degree mismatch on the wings there at one time. I was up at the, trying to roll in place at -1 G up there at the top, and you just can't do it. That was quite a roll there, boss. Yeah, that's really bad news, huh?
You're stopping your roll, and then all you're doing with your wings is you're pushing down and letting them roll around you. I sure hope you can see it, because I sure can. Don't you recognize that?
Well, I couldn't recognize the wing mismatch that time. I knew something was not right. However, I was staying in the same position on Kevin, which indicated I had the same roll. What's the matter, Bernie? You tired? Well, I don't know, boss. That was a real weird feeling roll to me. I could not, when you said that, Jim, I tried to analyze which way my wings were mismatched because I had the stick position and I was maintaining the exact same position on Kevin for quite a bit of that roll, although it was not the right position.
You really had it mismatched.
Well, which way were they mismatched? It's really evident that you're riding that whole damn formation deep, Brenner. Okay, Dick. I didn't see as much cycling as I did the fact that you just were sitting deep in the maneuver. You knew to sit a little bit deeper than anybody else, Burner, and during the maneuver you were deep at the pull-up, and about through the 90 you drove it acute and stayed acute for the entire maneuver. Oh, you better stand by this time there, Irishman. Again, boss? I said you better stand by this time. Oh, boy.
When a bumped airplane comes back, it's a center of attention. Everybody wants to see the 600-mile-per-hour bad mark. No way to hide a mistake in this school. No way. A bad mark, everybody sees it. And it has a very serious meaning.
Okay, remember what we talked about on this echelon landing, Bill. You cannot drop deep. The best thing to have going for you if you're going to err is to be slightly aft, moving slightly forward with your power up. But again, there you're really going to set yourself up if you overcorrect and have to pull off the power. But you pull power in close, you're going to drop him into the overrun.
Timing, basically, on most of the maneuvers was real close today. When we do that over the field, we'll be on the runway, and the objective is you want the crowd to just see these two airplanes just zoom up out of the ground. Get into the point where you hear me go by, and you know that you're just about there. You don't want to get much closer than that I was. The vertical rolls, I think, maybe a little bit behind me. I don't know how it looked to you. On the pull-up? On the pull-up. Yeah. Instead of getting this, it looked to me like if this is you, that we got about like that.
Upside down, just above the desert floor. This is Skip Umstead from St. Charles, Michigan, who graduated 76th in his high school class of 206 students. That was in 1960. Since then, he has learned to concentrate. Cautiously, slowly, wide apart at first, then moving in. Many yards away, then feet away, then mere inches. You think about 4, then 6 airplanes flying inches apart at 600 miles per hour. It's a form of glorious insanity. And how appropriate that it all happens against a desert moonscape, as strange and forbidding as the very edges of the imagination.
I know that there are, or I've heard that there have been accidents, and there's a few airplanes out there in the desert. But it's the old thing, you know, the typical fighter pilot outlook that it can't happen to me, and I think that's probably the thing that keeps most of us going in the profession. And all you can do is just hope that it doesn't to you.
What's in the outback of a pilot's mind? In that region of nightmare images, which must never interfere with the business at hand? What's locked behind those plate steel doors of consciousness, all sealed in fancy words, not to be opened until that final split instant, when you know you've gone over the edge, and the real limits, which you knew were there all the time, have caught up with you?
Oh, my God. Oh, my God, get it up.
There is a state of mental and physical awareness in which I and my airplane are one. There is no separation between us. My will is its will. My movements are reflected by its movements, and my thoughts are only of it. When I am in this special place, there is no room for the luxury of fatigue or fear. There is no moment, there is no movement that does not demand total concentration. Rising skyward like blue angels, we are born on wings of fire to new heights of inspiration on the threshold of the sky. Kind of men who long to reach above the earth and touch the heavens with their hands. Rising skyward like true angels, they are born on wings of fire to new heights of inspiration on the threshold of the sky.
Yeah, betcha.